Now here's a guy. Hey, welcome back, listener, to Now Here's a Guy with Henry Markin. I'm Henry Markin. I'm a guy, and I'm here now. This is the first ever necessary podcast. So, this edition of the show, I'm talking about one thing with extreme detail. It's very topical. I'll do this throughout, I guess, the show's tenure when something happens and it's like, hang on, I got to just put all my eggs in that basket. And just to tell you, this entire episode is about Draymond Green, and that is just fine. It is more than relevant. Just want to point things out before we get going. If you're consuming the show visually, you may have noticed the red dot sniper sight on me. No, I'm not under attack. No, there's not a sniper inbound. I just have a pimple on my nose. While I won't be doing that many impressions on this episode per se, I will be doing my best Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer impression. No, you're not supposed to pop pimples on your nose, apparently, so I'm just going to ride this one out. So, yes, while I will be doing this show, I will not be leaving my house that often until this sucker goes back down. On to today's topic, Draymond Green. The reason I wanted to talk about Draymond is just, it's more than relevant. Oh, it just, honestly, this guy is just wearing on me. I am obviously a Warriors fan, as you could see by Steph and some Clay paraphernalia behind me, Bay Area, obviously. I'm going to talk from the Warriors fan angle, but mainly a basketball fan angle, both casual and serious basketball fan. Draymond Green is probably the most bipolar basketball player in the history of the NBA. And I'm not talking about like attitude. I'm talking about like his game. His game is the most bipolar the league has ever seen. There is no one else you can compare to Draymond Green. I mean, in this category, at least, as far as like what you see every night, it's the most bipolar display of hoops. Seriously, on a nightly basis since he was drafted, you have no idea which Draymond Green you'll be getting. I want you to picture a deck of cards, and it's not a complete deck. It has 5 cards in it. This is how you watch Draymond Green play basketball. You have a deck of 5 cards to choose from, and whatever card you pull that night is what you're stuck with that night. Draymond Green is capable of playing like any one of these cards. Are you ready? All right. Card number 1. Here we go. Defensive Titan fused with final boss level basketball IQ. So this is the guy that's guarding AD and Jokic and Giannis, and the Hall of Famer you know is Draymond Green. This is the guy that helped win those 4 recent titles. Pull another card. Elite facilitator. Rebounds, passing, it's like clockwork. An off night for this kind of Draymond Green could still be like 9 boards, 10 assists. He could be 0 for 10 from the field, but he gets 7 boards, 6 dimes, and he's just helping guys on the bench. That guy is also a Hall of Famer. From his mind alone and his contributions to the game that you just don't really see, but Steph and Clay, KD, Wiggins, Poole, Harrison Barnes, Iguodala, all these guys benefited from Draymond, which is why Draymond is a Hall of Famer from that card. Pull another card. WWE Heavyweight Champion. This Draymond Green finds the sneakiest ways he can beat the shit out of someone. In the most creative way possible, how can I kill this motherfucker in the paint? Sometimes they're visible, clear as day, like with Sabonis. Sometimes you need a replay review to see what's going on. Either way, you get the sneaky cheap shots, the kick in the nuts. That Draymond Green is the reason the Warriors blew that 3-1 lead against the Cavs. That is not a Hall of Fame Draymond. In fact, that's a very frustrating Draymond Green. Up for grabs as well. Pull another card. We're on card number 4. This is the 5-year-old boy card. That's right. Whining, crying, screaming, not thinking, just fucking running around and throwing the biggest tantrums you've ever seen on national television. We're talking Rudy Gobert game, right? I mean, that's why he has well over 170 career technical fouls. Like, they tip the ball, he gets a foul, he complains, he gets a tech, complains about the tech, see ya. That's the Draymond Green you get if you draw that card. And then fifth and final card, you have what he did against the Lakers. The sneaky sharpshooter. Since he was drafted, he has maintained to shoot like he's wearing a full Jansport backpack from middle school. But he drilled 5 threes against the Lakers. And that's not the first time he's done that. He's done that 8 other times, including one game where he hit 7 threes. Happens more than you think. There's a plethora of 4-3 games. And, what are you going to do? You already have to double Steph. Sometimes you have to double Clay. Then Wiggins is hitting. Harrison Barnes back in the day. Poole. Kevin Durant. And then Draymond goes 5 for 5. You're fucked. That's another Hall of Fame level Draymond Green. And that's another guy who helped the Warriors win 4 titles. That's it, though. You have 5 possible Draymonds every night. 3 of them are Hall of Fame caliber personalities, and the other 2 are not. That's why Draymond Green will be a Hall of Famer. But every night, you still have a very good possibility of getting shitty Draymond Green. It's quite literally a gamble. And this is way different than saying, well, Steph has off nights too. Or LeBron doesn't always drop 40. LeBron has off nights. Kevin Durant has off nights. No. This is way different than that. See, with Draymond, you either get the Hall of Famer or you get an actual idiot. Not even a basketball player, just an idiot. That's what I mean when he has the most bipolar game in NBA history. It's not a matter of being streaky or erratic or, oh, he's so up and down. No, it's because you have Draymond, the Hall of Famer, or the gloves are off, and this guy forgot he was in the league. He forgot he was on television. I have another analogy for you. Let's pretend that Steph Curry has a steakhouse, and his game is symbolized into a steak. Just like his actual game, the quality of the steak each night, it could vary. It's always going to be a steak, right? It's always going to have the moments where you're like, nah, that's the best shooter of all time. This is one of the best players to ever bless the game of basketball, right? Steph has quiet nights, but he still makes some of the best plays you've ever seen. Maybe he only drops 18. Perhaps he only drops 3 points, but he made a 40-footer before half. No rim, all net. Not to mention every time he's guarded, he has to use this elite level dribbling skills he's acquired over his career just to break out of a triple team. You see Hall of Fame character attributes in Steph Curry every single night. So his steak will always be a steak, right? Sometimes it's the best steak you've ever had in your fucking life. And then sometimes it's just steak, right? It's the sirloin they serve at Chipotle. It's still steak. It's still good, but you were expecting a little more when you walked through the door. If I go to Ruth's Chris or Morton's Steakhouse, I don't want the head chef to walk out of the kitchen and plop up Chipotle flank steak in front of me. No. But sometimes that happens with Steph Curry. However, his game is always going to be a steak. You know you're getting steak. But at Draymond Green's Steakhouse, it's very different. If you order a steak, you could get a great steak. But sometimes when you order a steak, there's a chance you get served lizard. That's right. Sometimes you get something you're like, what in the hell is this? So here's what I have to say about Draymond. Everything about him, he's one of one. There is nothing about Draymond Green that you can compare to other players. You could try to compare parts of his game, I guess compartmentalized bits and pieces of him, but Draymond Green, the whole unit, that is a Hall of Fame player which has no player comps. Like even his fucking name, he could go by just Draymond for the rest of his life and you know exactly who we're talking about. He's one of one. But just like his game, he's a marriage. Like, seriously, as a basketball fan who loves the sport and gets frustrated when Draymond does Draymond things, or if you're like me, a diehard Warriors fan, it's just so fucking tiresome, right? it's truly like a marriage, an emotional marriage. But much like a marriage, you need him. God almighty, he's flawed. But you need him. And it's such a one-of-one thing about Draymond in particular. Most Hall of Famers, should they leave their team, they could do pretty well on the other team. In fact, they could perhaps shine more on another team based on how good they are being selfish and trying to, lift everybody else up. Some Hall of Famers can do that. Draymond Green is not that guy. Draymond Green is like everything about him really only works on like a couple of teams, including the Warriors. Draymond needs the Warriors. This dynasty the Warriors just had, which we could still be in, by the way, the Warriors would not have sniffed that without Draymond Green. And it's not a hot take either, by the way. To say that Steph Curry wouldn't have one ring without Draymond, that's not a crazy thought. I mean, maybe Curry goes somewhere else. Maybe new talent gets brought in. In that alternate timeline, a Warriors team without Draymond, I don't know what that looks like. But let's just say it's the exact same team. The only thing you don't have is Draymond. I don't even know who fills in. Maybe they just switch the rotation up. You just brought in Looney earlier, stuck with David Lee for longer. I don't think they're getting a ring. I think you need everyone doing exactly the job they did, and Draymond was a magnificent part of that. Monumental. Vital. Meaning death without it. So that's how good he was. At the same time, he's also costed the Warriors some rings. So as he's brought in rings, right, 4 are possible because of Draymond, he costed the Warriors a ring to the Cavs when he got suspended. And then LeBron came back down 3-1. Now LeBron's one of the greatest of all time. Not to mention Draymond arguably helped drive the decay of the Warriors last year and could have perhaps sped up the end of their dynasty when he punched Jordan Poole in the face during practice. I mean, his actions indirectly drove Bob Myers out of the building. That is the former general manager of the Warriors, the architect of their dynasty. You need Draymond, but fuck, you need space as well. He brings in a lot, and he also gives shit away. Brings in more than he gives. There's so much good that Draymond brings, but there's so much bad he sucks in as well. So more good than bad, but it's a big blow sometimes. Flash forward to now. Here we are at the end of the 2024 NBA season. Playoffs are right around the corner. Warriors are fighting to maintain relevance this year. They are in the play-in situation, trying to increase their odds of getting the 8 or 7 seed even. But man, it's like every year that goes on, the bipolar nature of Draymond Green's game shines even brighter. This year, he got pretty much a one-of-one Draymond Green only sort of leave of absence, right? The league had to boot him. They literally had enough. Like, that's so different than Ja Morant's case, which involved guns, violence, and off-court stupid shit. The league suspended Draymond Green because they didn't know what the fuck to do. Like, he's so good and he's so smart. Why is he choking out Rudy Gobert less than 30 seconds into the game? Like, you are 10 plus years into the NBA. What is this? Like, they suspend him because they're like, I don't know, right? I think every fan was like, I don't know either. Adam Silver's like, I don't know. Buddy, I'm out of ideas. And Steve Kerr's like, me too. Nobody knows what to do. We've never seen a player like this and dealt with situations like this. He is one of one. Very recently, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green were together on a podcast, Draymond Green's podcast. You get one guess on what Draymond Green's podcast is called. Yeah, you got it. It's called The Draymond Green Show. And he had Klay Thompson on. And he asked Klay, quote, when I get ejected or something of that nature or suspended, what do you feel? And he asked Klay to be brutally honest in his answer. Klay's answer was, when you're not out there, a piece of us is gone. Do you think that's all Klay feels? Like 2 minutes into the game, Draymond doesn't like a call. He argues. He gets a tee. Doesn't feel the tee was necessary. He continues to argue, thinking he'll better the odds of removing that tee. He gets another tee. See ya. You're out of there. Do you think when Klay watches that whole thing go down, he thinks, damn, there goes a piece of us, and that's it? Like we were now one whole thing, and with Draymond leaving, the piece of us is going away too. That's all that Klay thinks? Bullshit. No, Klay's probably like, fuck, God, just stop, God, no, what the fuck? Come on. Of course, Klay is going to say something so Klay Thompson-esque on a podcast. That's what he does. He's a cool dude. He's not going to tell you how he really feels. These guys have been buddies for years. If there's any sort of intervention, it's not going to happen on a podcast sponsored by Squarespace. Like, no, fantastic marketing. Just masterclass marketing by the people behind the Draymond Green show. I know Draymond's not physically jumping on a computer, editing clips. There's a team of people, much like me, when I'm in social media management. Well done to you guys for just creating an awesome, spectacular moment to drive viewership and clicks. Superb job. Everyone over there at the Volume, Colin Cowherd's network, which owns the Draymond Green show, terrific job. Splendid. That's not Klay's real answer. If there was an actual intervention, you're not having it for the first time on a podcast. You're having it like on a cliff or on a pier in the bay because Klay loves water. Like looking at it probably happened on Klay's boat in the Pacific Ocean, and it was like probably the most intimate, emotional conversation Klay and Draymond have ever had in their life. That's probably what happened. We'll never know because Klay's too cool and way too smooth to tell us. But it was definitely less than pretty. The best reaction that we'll ever get, the most real reaction, I should say, to how Warrior players feel about Draymond getting booted like he's been doing and how it's really caught up to them and they're starting to feel that weight. Watch Steph Curry's reaction from a couple weeks ago when Draymond got ejected like minutes into the game. I mean, it was just nothing out of the ordinary for Draymond. It was a foul call that he argued, got teed up, because refs they'll do it out of like 10 seconds of their job. If they even smell anger from Draymond, it's just a quick tee. And then, of course, Draymond's like, well, let me argue more to plead my case, as if he hasn't learned for the 170th time. And they teed him up again, and boom, see ya. Steph's reaction's probably the most realistic. And I think he does a really good job of being a fantastic leader all the time. But you could tell Steph was like, this fucking guy. Like, he literally buried his face in his hands. He was just like, stop it. Klay is right, by the way. Klay is absolutely right. When Draymond leaves, when he goes away, when he's on a leave of absence, suspended, and whatever punishment he has to endure that removes him from the game, the Warriors are missing a piece. 100% accurate. But much like what Curry showed you, it's also like, stop it. Just stop. So anytime you see a Warriors player tell you what it's like, that's half the truth. They're being truthful. They're going to defend their boy, just like Draymond defends all of them. But they're so fucking fed up with it. Of course they are. And you should be too. If you're a Warriors fan, you are absolutely entitled to be fed up with it. What do you do if you're a Warriors fan? What do you do if you're a basketball fan? Nothing. You just deal with it. This is literally a marriage. By all means, complain, show your frustration, irritation. It's totally normal. Like any marriage, you can complain about your spouse. But do not divorce. The Warriors need Draymond Green. The league needs Draymond Green. You need these characters in there. You don't want just a bunch of silent assassins in the league. You want loud, high energy, big mouth dudes. It's exciting. You need villains. You need adversity. You need that shit if you're a consumer. And if you're a Warriors fan, you need a ring. Draymond helps get rings. That is a fact. He also helps and directly causes them to lose rings. That's also a fact. But he brings more good than he does harm. You need Draymond Green. That's all I got.